Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's Rain Balchak here. So in my last video, I talked about why I had to return to Adelaide, and I brought up the topic of wet wraps. This was the treatment I was advised to undergo by my dermatologist between November 18th to November 22nd. And the reason why this was the treatment proposed was because I caught a skin infection that was so severe that the inflammation across my body could not be reduced by using topical zinc. It could not be reduced by using calendula or manuka honey and other means. And I was just so susceptible to reinfection. As a result, I decided to undergo wet wrap treatment and receive the application of topical steroids. When I was admitted for this treatment, I had a consultation with 6 dermatologists, varying across, different ages, so different seniorities at the hospital, different experiences, different cultural backgrounds. And I learned a lot of valuable advice from that session. One of them, you're not supposed to be putting eczema patients on oral steroids. So 2 years ago, when I had the extreme physical deformation as a result of oral and topical steroid withdrawal, it's because, number one, that's an old method that is outdated. You're not supposed to be treating eczema patients with oral steroids. But for some reason, this is still being practiced in the Philippines, in Pakistan, in India, and I don't know about other countries, but these are just the countries I've been aware of because I've talked to some people from the eczema community and of my own personal experiences. Moving forward, based on this knowledge, I'm just sharing this information to warn you so that you could come up with the appropriate treatment plan for your individualized needs. If you are in certain countries like the United States, the UK, and Australia, there are other treatment approaches available, like Protopic. You also have JAK inhibitors. There's also biologic injections like Dupixent, which I'm on. So there are other treatment options, and you can even go non-steroidal. Now, for this particular video and for what I've had to undergo recently, I'm going to be talking it from that experience and in that context. So for 5 days, I was admitted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital as a day patient. So what that means is I'm not staying at the hospital overnight. I go in the morning and I leave in the afternoon. So I'd rock up 15 minutes before my 8 a.m. appointment. A nurse will then collect me, and then I would have to undress and wear a patient gown. Then the nurse would help me apply topical steroids. Now, according to the government of South Australia, there are specific units of measurement. From your fingertip, this much is 1 fingertip unit. And based on that fingertip unit, you then apply this average amount across different sites on your body. And this is the safe consumer health information sheet on how to use topical steroids in dermatology. For some reason, in other countries I've lived in, they do not teach this to patients. They somehow encourage patients to use topical steroids as if it's lotion. But something that you must remember is that there's an active ingredient in that topical steroid. And depending on the topical steroid you use, there are mild, moderate, and then very potent, strong ones. And in terms of what steroids to use, the doctor would have to discern what would be appropriate for your case. So they'd have to consider the potency, the duration of time you would use it for, and then also the site of application. Would it be widespread or isolated? So these are the different things that your doctor should be considering, that you should also bring up and ask during your consultation. After you use steroids, in my case, for 5 days, you would then come up with like a treatment plan to wean off of the steroid safely. Now, this is really important for me to touch base on because 2 years ago, I experienced severe physical deformities as a result of unsafe steroid use. The first one, a doctor in the Philippines prescribed oral steroids to me which you're not supposed to do. So that's number one mistake. Number two, the doctor in the United States had me wean off steroid, topical and oral steroid use by cold turkey cutting it. You're not supposed to do that because, like any kind of pharmaceutical drug, you have to wean off of it slowly. You do not cut it out of your life like cold turkey cutting. You really, I do not encourage that method, particularly for steroids, because unless you want to experience severe infections and adverse health events, then, be my guest. But speaking from my experience, you will hate yourself, you will hate your life, and you will contemplate suicide. I have met some people in my eczema journey the past 2 years where unfortunately they're not alive anymore because they cold turkey cut steroids from their life, and then now, they're just not here anymore because life is not good to bear. And so it's very disappointing that that's the stage that they've had to reach in their life with their, healthcare plan. But that's why I'm just sharing from my experiences, from the people I've met, that, don't cold turkey cut, wean off. So I've obviously passionately gone off topic here. So backtracking a little bit. When you go in for your wet wrap treatment, in my case, 8 a.m., undress, put on that patient gown, and then you are lathered with topical steroids at appropriate doses. And then after that, the nurse would boil water to 43 degrees, and she would be dipping these towels and blankets in the hot water. She would lay a plastic on your patient bed, a sheet over. You would undress, lay on that sheet, and then she will apply a sheet to cover you, which is also wet, and then a plastic over that. And this heat from that sheet would open your pores to allow that steroid or emollient to then absorb into your epidermis. After that sheet, there's also a warm blanket. We've also applied a towel to cover my feet, a towel around my neck and my face for, maximum coverage. And I would lay in this setup for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes, I pat with a dry towel to remove all of that moisture. And then we apply on my skin DERMEZE. DERMEZE is an emollient, it is non-steroidal, and it is petroleum based. I'm currently storing it in my refrigerator because it is nice and cool on the body. I'm not trying to promote any products here, but that's what the hospital chose to apply to my body, and it's $17.99 at Chemist Warehouse. They're not paying me for this, but you better be one day. And then I would sit in this kind of like moisture, which is non-steroidal, for about an hour and a half, and that's your steroid break. Now, depending on the treatment plan of your doctor, you might go into a re-wrap, sitting in this, or into steroids again, depending on the severity of your condition. In my case, we did this for 5 days. On the first 3 days, I had 2 rounds of topical steroids. On the last 2 days, I only had 1 round of topical steroid, and then my second wet wrap was with this on. And then now, moving forward, I have to wean off of the steroids, so then I have this treatment plan here. It's really important that you and your physician discusses a treatment plan to safely use steroids, for the initial treatment and then the post-treatment and aftermath maintenance. And it's really important that you also have a follow-up check-in with your physician to then, see, has the treatment been working, or did you experience any flare-ups afterwards? And if you have any flare-ups, then it's important to have a treatment plan for those flare-ups to be addressed. And I think that's really important for you to communicate with your physician so that your health is monitored safely. It's also very important to remember that when you're using these steroids, protopics, any of these topical ointments, there are side effects. So read the label. educate yourself. The other thing, the side effects are photosensitivity. So something really important to do, apply sunscreen. And if you're like me, go crazy, wear a hat, wear long sleeve shirts. It doesn't hurt to cover up, protect yourself from the sun. Avoid going outside during certain hours. If you're really, scared to, I'm not. I'll just wear a long sleeve shirt, wear some sunscreen, wear a massive hat, and be all smiley outside, because that's who I am. And that's something really important to remember. You cannot let your chronic condition stop you from living your life, because if you do, you might just decide to end your life. And that's not a way to go, because you are valuable. You are so unique as you are. Even with twins, they don't have matching fingerprints. Everyone is on this planet for a purpose, and it's really important that you remember that and you know your value and your self-worth. And no matter what you're going through in your life, I think it's really important for you to also address your inner voice and, talk to yourself in a positive way, because it's not going to be good for you if you're going through hardships and you're alone in the process. There's a lot of weight to that. And I know, because I'm speaking from experience, the nights I've cried by myself alone and I feel like a complete disaster. So I'd like to also recommend someone named Dr. Kristen Neth, and I'll put information in the bio for you, to look up self-compassion and how to reframe your inner voice and how you talk to yourself. And if necessary, seek guidance from a therapist and talk to a professional. Play a sport, so you have a social community. Get active, because that releases happy hormones instead of doom scrolling on the internet, and then that's releasing dopamine, and then you get addictive to that dopamine instead of seeking natural happy hormones like endorphins or serotonin from engaging in exercise or eating bananas and chickpeas to make you happy. So be healthy about how you go about your day-to-day life and really embrace being you. Don't lose that just because you've got a disability or a chronic condition, because what we don't want are lost lives in this process. And I think it's really important that you share your story or you communicate, drop a comment if you've got a question, because the more people who share their experiences, then the more science can improve. Because again, we're still learning in this world. We are still growing. Nothing is perfect yet. We haven't reached some kind of utopian society. So it's really important that we share our experiences and we create a safe network for people to share what they've gone through, so that we can come together and create a better world. And for me, that's really important. Social responsibility for the betterment of our future, because generations are going to come after us. What kind of world will they have? So we need to take care of ourselves, take care of our planet, and it really starts with that, your inner voice and how you live your day-to-day life. And I know I've talked about a lot of things in this video, and I'm going to try to share some links and information in the info section. But if you've got any questions, just don't be afraid to drop it in down below, and let me know what you think, because again, community is really important for anyone. So we're only so human. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, think good thoughts, speak good words, and do good deeds. I hope that you have a wonderful day.